Good afternoon, notaries. Thanks for taking the time to be here on your lunch hour. Thank you, of course, always to Dye & Durham for your sponsorship. We appreciate that. We have Tiffany Postler here today, Senior Account Executive for Dye & Durham, and Jennifer Whiting, Customer Success Manager. So thank you for being here. And I will pass it over to you, Tiffany. And I will just unmute you, actually. There we go.
You think I'd get this figured out after 2 years of doing this? Sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I see some familiar names on the list, so I'm happy to see you. It's Tiffany. I think a lot of you on here know me, but if you don't, my name is Tiffany Postler, and I'm the Senior Account Executive for Dye & Durham, selling our conveyancing software, which now includes ProSuite and a couple other ones. So Jennifer Whiting, who's our Customer Success Manager, is going to go through a really in-depth sort of training session on ProSuite. And if you have questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll be here to answer anything. So I'll give it over to you, Jen.
Thanks, Tiffany. Sorry to interject before we pass it to you, Jennifer. If you want to, as usual, put them in the Q&A box. And if something comes up on a screen Jennifer's on, we'll just have her pause and answer those questions. The chat box is closed. So thank you.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Tiffany and Trista. I'm Jennifer Whiting, your CSM for ProSuite in British Columbia. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to be going over a purchase and a mortgage file. We'll be going into our global and local precedents, as well as doing some work on ProTrust. So I'm going to get started and share the screen. And should be, there we go. Perfect. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat. Trista will be pausing throughout the session if there's any questions intermittently as we move through the different sections of the Lunch and Learn. So let's get started. We'll start with our file data. We've got a purchase and a mortgage file to go through. I've self-populated one already. This is our purchase file that comes in black. You can see that there are different colors for our different file matters. Purchases are black, our mortgages are orange, sale files are green, and our family transfers are purple. Okay, so every time you open up a file and you are the responsible person, your file matter is going to be displayed on your main page, okay? These are files that I have created. If you would like to see all the files in your office, you can certainly right-click on your main page and click Display All Firm Files, and all of the files that are currently being worked on will display on that main page. This is your main page of ProSuite. As you log in with your password and login credentials, you will end up at the main page of ProSuite, where you will see your newsreel, your list of files, and your toolbars will be above. Okay, so let's get into our purchase file by double-clicking to open it up. We're going to work left to right along the tabs today. This is a purchase file with a mortgage. We're going to start with our file tab here. So as I opened up my new file with my yellow sun over here, when I clicked agree, it will all of a sudden open up to my first file tab, which is file. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to close this off and show you. When you're opening up a new file matter, you're going to populate your file matter number. Perhaps you have a last name of the client. You're going to drop down your file type. You're going to enter in your completion date. Your adjustment and possession date will default to the next day. If you do have an addendum, perhaps there's some date changes. These are all changed. You can change these dates. It's no problem at all. You can change your file matter number, the responsible practitioner, as well as the responsible person. Keep in mind, once you choose your file type and click on agree, you will not be able to change this file type. So ensure that you know that you are acting either for the buyers or the vendors. Make sure that you have chosen the correct file type, okay? Then once you click on agree, you will be, right away, the file will open up to your first tab, Okay, so this information then will self-populate into your file matter here. For your date of your contract and purchase and sale, you can certainly enter that in. You can use our calendar widget to go back and forth. Perhaps maybe this contract was drawn up in February, then you'll enter in that contract for purchase and sale date. This date is important to put in here because it will correspond on some of your reporting letters. Okay, so it is nice to put in that contract for purchase and sale date. Here's those completion, adjustment, and possession dates. Of course, you can change them. Maybe you'll receive an addendum. The file status is active, the date that the file is created, and who created it is displayed below in these data fields. Okay, the date file closed and location and signed out by, these are general bookkeeping data fields that you can certainly use if you're running certain reports. Or perhaps maybe you have somebody in the office that is dealing with closing up files, reporting, and maybe there's a certain location that you're putting your physical files at, and you want to keep track of who is signing out these files. Okay, so you can certainly use these data fields if you'd like to. Please always keep your scope local. Okay, if somebody is changing their file to private, and they are away, they're on holiday, they become sick, something happens, nobody will be able to find this file matter other than the person that has opened that file and is the responsible person. So if you're using ProTrust, you're releasing a holdback, you need to get into requisition a check. By putting it to private, you're really putting your file matter at risk because you will not be able to find it unless you know the login or the responsible person is able to then log into the file. Okay. The power of attorney data fields, this is for when you are actually creating a power of attorney. This is not when you are producing a seller's package of documents and you need to, and maybe the sellers are going to be signing by way of power of attorney. This is not where you would enter that information. This is strictly for creating that power of attorney document. Okay. So once you're finished, you can click on the purple check sign to save it. Otherwise, in your user tab, you can always save autosave. You can click that off in your user tab. If anybody has any questions about the user tab, you can ask me. And then you'll be able to move through your files without having to click this purple check mark all the time. Okay, notes and share is next. We're just going to quickly go through this. This is a tally of any file matter, name changes, date changes, is always going to keep a tally of any changes that you make to this file. You can also create notes and appointments in here by clicking on the green plus sign. Okay, the notes, you can make as many notes as you'd like about the file. You can do notes in your parties tabs, and you can actually generate a document that are opening and closing file matter sheets, as well as notes and appointments. Okay, so anything that you're entering into ProSuite, you can actually generate a document. Okay, sharing file, we don't so much train in this tab so much anymore. You can share a file matter with another practitioner. Oftentimes it was used for maybe sharing a title search. This is strictly up to your own office protocol. Most people do not share file matters with other offices. So we'll just continue on with our property tab. Okay, so under property, you can see we have a number of sub tabs. We've got our legal description here. What we've done is we've only entered in the PID number. So you do not need to actually manually fill this in if you're integrated with LTSA. Okay, so that is also in our user tab where you must get integrated with your third-party accounts. So you would enter in your LTSA password information, login information, so you can be integrated and pull those title searches through. So when you get to the legal tab, all you need to do is enter in your PID, and then you're going to advance right to searches. Okay, your PID will show up here in this data field, and the first thing you're going to do is click on PID check. So I'm communicating with LTSA right now. They're letting me know that this PID is valid. There's the taxation authority is providing me with that legal description. So I'm confident that this PID is valid. It's not telling me that it's the correct PID. So you yourself are responsible for ensuring that this is the correct PID for the property that you are conveying. So, okay, so I'm happy with that. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in that title search. Okay, so I'm going to click on title search, and I'm going to essentially bring in the search into this area right here. Okay, so I have not imported the search through my tabs yet. I've just brought it in here. What I need to do is just quickly check over to ensure that I'm going to be bringing in Hornby Street as the civic. So it's got it checked off. If this is not the civic address of the property that's being transferred, you can simply uncheck it. In this case, it is. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to see that there is a statutory right-of-way. So that's a charge that's going to be remaining on titles. We do want to bring it into our charges on. And we do have a mortgage here that needs to be discharged off of title. Okay, so the program is saying to bring this in. Yes, we want to bring it into our charges removed because we'll want it to go into our undertaking letter. Okay, any of the canceled charges are also going to show up here. So obviously it's showing you that these charges were already, these mortgages were paid out and discharged. And we just want to take a quick look. We don't see any duplicate titles. There's no pending applications. So we're happy with that. The next thing we want to do is import it through the file. And then we're going to simply print our title search and save it. Please print your title search once you import it throughout your file. Just print it out right away, save it to your drive, whatever you need to do, just go ahead and do that right after you import. Okay, then going back to the legal tab, everything will be filled in. Once in a while, the land title office does not come in. Okay, so simply you can look up the land title office by just clicking land title and then going to your lookup contact manager, choosing it, double clicking on it to bring it in. Okay, again, you can click save. Going into land value is our next tab. Here, the purchase price of the property will be entered in the data field under gross land value. Okay, so in this case, we've put 495,000. We're buying a condominium. Certainly, if it was new construction or if it was mixed use, commercial, residential, then you have the ability to either apply the GST or include the GST in the land value. Okay, so it will set out a nice calculation for you. Okay, GST included in the land value as well. Okay, sometimes there is a decorating package. I know we do see this coming up more often than not. It is a little bit of an adjustment that you'll have to enter in manually. Sometimes there is certain things that you will need to add that maybe are not GST applicable. Those things that you'll need to add are in the adjustments tab here. Okay, the property transfer tax is down here. So here we have it defaulted to land with improvements, residential, and fee simple. Of course, you do have the ability to choose other property types as well as vacant land. And then again, if you're doing leasehold or maybe a prepaid lease, you do have those opportunities to choose different transaction types here. Okay, so an agreement for sale, etc. But it is going to default to the basic land with improvements, residential, fee simple, because that's the type of real estate program that this is. Okay, exemption code. Here, if you're choosing an exemption, maybe perhaps you have a first-time home buyer. If the property purchase price is laudable, you can choose that first-time home buyer or newly built home here. Certainly, you would need to make sure if you were choosing a first-time home buyer's exemption that you had your parties tab filled in correctly. Okay, so here we can see, even if I drop this gross land value down to say 450 or whatever it needed to be, I I'm still not going to get that reduction here until my parties tab is filled out. So if you get to this point, you don't see the reduction, it just means that you need to actually make sure that your parties tab is filled out correctly. Okay, so let's just drop this down. We're not going to have an exemption, and we'll save, and we're going to move on. Charges removed. Here we can see we've got the mortgage come in. I imported this twice, so what we'll do is we'll just take one of these out. We've got one mortgage that's come in off our title search, okay? And so we want this to come in because essentially we want this information to generate on our document over to the seller's side to put them on the undertaking to pay out discharge and report same back to us. So we want this to come in. If we were in a sale file, yes, we would be finding the reference number. We would be sending out a letter to charge holder for a payout statement, and then we would be entering in those details in here along with the balance due and per diem. Okay, in this case, we just need the registration number, date, and nature of charge, and the charge holder name to come in. Now, again, when you see this charge holder and you see this PO Box 115, I know sometimes that it will default to these funny sort of descriptions where you think, well, I don't want this to show up on my letter. Just simply double click and open it up, and you'll see that the name on doc is what you need to be concerned about. So this is the actual this is what's going to produce on your letter, not the contact name. It will be the name on doc. So you're okay there. It will just pull in the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Okay. Moving on to charges on. Here we can see that we've got that statutory right of way. Okay, that's come in, that's going to remain on title. We want this to come in because this will also populate on our engagement letter to our clients. So we want to set out what is going to remain on title. We can see it's City of Vancouver. It was registered in 1990. So this is something that's going to remain on title. Okay. The manufactured home tab is not applicable in this case. We are not conveying one, but if you do have one, you can certainly perform that conveyance in ProSuite. And you can hop over to BC Online over here. We're not integrated with them per se, but we will take you over to the website so you can do that search there and then manually populate these data fields here. Okay. Then we're ready to go over to general. So we've completed all of these under the property tab. We'll head over to general. You can see that the civic address is pulled in from our search. I've got my outside firm here. I've received a fax number, or sorry, fax number. I've received a fax requesting documents, and they've included their outside file matter. So I've put it in here so it will correspond back onto the documents sent back over to their office. Okay. If you want to add the outside practitioner, you certainly can. But if you have this clicked off and you pull in the outside practitioner, this is going to populate on that Form A for you. So by sending over a blank Form A, then you're ensuring that, you know, you're not going to have to recreate one. If you're not sure who will be signing up the client on the other side, it's probably best to have the Form A blank. Okay, it's really up to you. It's your discretion. By clicking off this tab here and putting in an outside practitioner will populate the practitioner on the Form A web form. Okay, the TAF exempt is self-explanatory. If you are running the report for TAF exempt and this file ends up being TAF exempt, maybe you're doing a transmission or something, then you can click this box off, and it will produce properly in your reports. Okay, the FinTrack non-compliant again. And the default trust account is here. So I'm going to be doing some pro trust with this file today. So I've chosen my default trust account here, which makes it really simple for me to receipt in my funds as well as requisition my checks. Okay, we don't have a ton of time, so I'm just going to quickly go through these tabs. I've got Betty and Al. They're going on as joint tenants. Okay, so they will be going on as 50% each. Again, if I wanted that land value tab, that reduction in PTT, I would be clicking off here, okay, if they were applying, and I would be entering in their address here for the past 2 years. Okay, so Betty and Al are going on as joint tenants. There is no exemption claimed. And I'm just going to quickly fill that in for you. If you had a third buyer, you are always going to click on the green plus sign to add any buyer. Okay, I'm just going to quickly let you know as well, please always double click in the contact card. Ensure the address is correct for the name on document. Make sure to go to the details and make sure to have everything entered in, including their SIN and birth date, as this data is extracted into the PTT form. Okay, there are other tabs. You will find the same tabs in each contact form. So you can certainly add in their ID if you like. Their signatory is already coded, so don't worry about that. Any notes, other addresses, etc. Okay, for the sellers, same thing. We just want to know and make sure that Stephen and Wendy are residents, okay, or non-residents. Regardless, this will also trigger that undertaking here. Okay, once you get the statutory declaration back, you can certainly double click and ensure that maybe their phone number needs to be put in or what have you. If you're preparing documents and they're going to be signed by way of power of attorney, this is where you would put your cursor and then be typing in that paragraph so that all your documents are produced nice and clean and they've got that nice, everything is uniform, put it that way, so that you're not manually typing anything in. Okay, so if they are going to be, if you're sending sellers documents over and they are going to be signing by way of power of attorney, this is where you're going to be typing that in next to their, you just put your cursor here and start typing. Okay, and if you need help with anything, you can always just get in touch with me or the account manager, or if anybody, if you need to remote in, we're more than happy to help you. Okay, so again, we can see the mortgages tab is here. We're going to be choosing our lending product. It's a rank of mortgages first. We've got a secured amount and an advanced amount as per our instructions. We've got our reference number in here. Make sure you always go to the lending tab, okay? You can see here we've got a defined schedule. Not always is the lender going to be populated here, okay? If it's some RBCs, they will always come in. When you start getting into computer share or MCAP or First National, you need to read your instructions to ensure that you know what the address of service is, okay? So you're going to have to come here and ensure that you have the lender's name put in. Okay, so we're going to look it up and we're going to look up the appropriate address of service. Okay, so we'll just choose this one because I've read my instructions and I know exactly what I need to do. Okay, so make sure that this is filled in if it isn't already. Okay, to define the schedule, you're going to click preview and print schedule. Okay, oh, it's opened up on my other screen. So essentially, this is the schedule that's going to come in. You need to ensure, and maybe you need to edit the schedule, fill anything in. The prime rate plus, if it's different, there are different schedules will require different instructions. You need to then convert this schedule to a PDF and save it into your file matter for uploading at LTSA to attach to that Form B web form, okay, later. So we make this quite easy for you here, okay. Guarantors, very self-explanatory. If you do have a guarantor or a covenantor, you can certainly add them in here. Here is your Form B. So this is the bulk of your payment provisions that will populate on that Form B web form. Ensure that you have chosen the correct lending product, okay? So you're choosing your lending product from our library here, right? So we're dropping down to choose that library item. Make sure to always go over your Form B, the payment provisions, okay? And then if you have any deductions by the lender, perhaps maybe TD is deducting an appraisal or a broker fee. Make sure that you enter these in here. So this forms your lender order to pay, regardless of the advance. If they are taking deductions off the advance, you want to enter it into the order to pay. Okay. Taxes and commissions, again, very straightforward. This is where our tax certificates online, our TICAL integration comes in. It's a really good idea to get your APIC account, your tax certificates online, because you'll be obtaining and importing it right from this tab here. It will provide you with your tax certificate. It will bring everything in for you, and it will self-populate. Okay, again, I've just done this on purpose because sometimes the city or town doesn't show up. So we want to come in here and double click to add in that global contact. Okay. Survey and title insurance, again, another integration we have. You're going to set your default insurance provider in your My Firm tab. I'm going to go over that. And you can change it anytime. We support all 3 of the title insurance providers, of course. You can choose any of them here, okay? Once you choose that property type, you'll get a continue to order page so that you'll go straight into Stewart Title here, FCT or Chicago, and the data will be extracted into your policy order. It just makes it a lot quicker for you to get integrated with these title insurance providers, so you're not manually going over to the standalone portal and manually populating that order. Okay, the other tabs, just because we don't have a lot of time today, we can see that they're very self-explanatory. Our strata management details will go in here, the monthly maintenance, your strata form fee. Then we've got our rainbow insurance, and the company is BFL. Okay, this is, you know, we're ordering a strata certificate in this case, so I'm not going to confuse you. This is strata. If it was a single family home, then yes, you would be you would be ordering perhaps your fire insurance binder as per the lender's instructions, etc. Right? Undertaking here, if you've got any undertaking set in your library, okay, you can certainly add them prior to generating your documents. And this is where we kind of are going to get into our global and local precedents, okay? So we are more than happy to create master documents for you guys. We have a great document services team. They're excellent. I also code documents. More of the simpler ones though, if you've got statement of adjustments or anything to do with monetary calculations, they should go to a document specialist. And the difference between our global and local precedents are, when you head over to generate documents, sometimes you'll notice in your client tab that you have documents in here. So these would be master documents that we have created for just your firm, would have your own master documents. So that this is the difference between our global precedents and documents that you've asked us to create for you, just your office, that are specific to your firm. Okay, so if I go into this purchase file, these are what our global precedents are. So all my letters would come up here. And certainly we can add in those master documents that should be under your client tab with your firm initials will be here. We'll make your master and you'll find it in your client tab. And then you can come over to manage groups and you can certainly add those masters to your groups of documents. Okay, so we have a number of groups here. Certainly you can create groups to help you efficiently as well. So we can see there's a master that's been added in here. Okay, so that's the difference between global and local precedents. Okay, and then getting into those integrations that we talked about earlier, go to the My Firm tab to get your TICAL tax certificates online APIC account. So under the firm personnel tab, this is where you're going to enroll. It takes about 5 minutes to get your TICAL account. They will provide you with credentials, login, validation credentials. You'll update them here. and validate. And then the entire office is able to order those tax certificates. Here again is where you're going to get your profile ID, your steward title next steps IDs will go into your user tab. And again, you can enroll for FCT here. And Chicago Title is integrated in a separate way, so we can certainly arrange for you to be also integrated with Chicago Title. Okay, so the APIC title account is a great one to get if you don't have it already. It just makes things a lot quicker for you guys. So if you need any help, you can ask us. We can certainly assist you with that as well. Okay, I want to get into our ProTrust as well as our mortgage file, okay, and our web forms. So we're just going to get back into this purchase file here, and we're going to head over to our web forms tab. Okay, first we'll just have a look at our adjustments tab, make sure everything is set as we like it. So here's our buyer's adjustments. This is our buyer's statement of adjustments little graph here that just shows you your debits and your credits, sort of what's coming in and what's going out. Your adjustments are here. So as we worked through our file, we had these adjustments come in. The move-in fee I added in on my own. So I just added in a standard adjustment by clicking on the green plus sign. You certainly can choose a prorated. Maybe you have a specific separate water bill or something where you didn't have the opportunity to add it into your taxes and commissions or your taxes tab here. But the standard adjustment is a set amount of funds. Okay, so I just dropped it down, chose my move-in fee. My payee would be the strata plan. How much the move-in fee is, maybe it's $200. We definitely are going to just apply it to the buyer in and out, and we're just debiting from the buyer in this case. Okay, so that would be setting a standard adjustment. And then the seller statement of adjustments here, again, you can see the information, your debits, your credits, and then over at seller's other adjustments, again, we can set a move out fee. Okay, so we would again click on the green plus sign. We would be choosing the move out fee. Okay, putting in the adjustment, who the payee is. So I looked up the owner strata plan here again by looking up the contact, and I'm applying it to the in and out, and I'm of course debiting from the seller here. Okay, the in out trust rec is here. This is an excellent tab if you're always wanting to see where you're at with your file. You can see that we received an excess deposit of $18,280. We have a balance required to complete, to close from the clients. They need to bring in $130,404.76. And there's our mortgage proceeds from TD. So you can see the deductions are taken off properly by the order to pay. And then we've got our property transfer tax, our commissions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the in-out trust reconciliation, once you have everything set with your file, you should be generating this to get ready to receipt in your funds into trust. It's always easier if you're generating an in-out trust before you come over and receipt in your funds, so that you know where you're at with your file and you're ready to receipt in and requisition checks. Okay, so let's head over to Loader. Very simple. You're going to send your transparency declaration details. You're going to hop over to LTSA, download that form, have your client sign, true it up and register it. Very simple. Just the declaration. Okay, so the report you would have to do manually. The web forms here, very simple again. We're ready to go to send our web forms over. I want to create a package description. So let's just call it let's see, BCNA. Let's just call it a test package. This button here is optional. If you just want to create a package and you haven't sent your applications over yet, that's completely fine. If you're ready to send your applications along with the package, then you can just come down here, simply click off your application types and click send package details and applications together. Okay, keep in mind, these are all date and time stamped. Okay, so we just want to send our one package over when we're ready. And we're going to click yes, and we'll be placed right into our package. Okay, so here all the data has extracted over into my web forms. Okay, so there should be no reason other than your PTT and your mortgage. You know, you should be able to just come in and add in that schedule as needed. Okay, so you'd be choosing it from their drive again and attaching it. Okay, so all your payment provisions, everything should be extracted perfectly from your ProSuite file. Okay, it's just your PTT form that of course you're going to need to do some manual inputting there. But otherwise, this is your package that's come over, and all you would need to do in this case, because it was Strata, would be to add that declaration, right? So we would add that declaration to our package, and then we would carry on and download our forms, print them out, and then we're going to jump back in and true them up when we are ready to. Okay, and so that's how you're going to send over your package of web forms, and you can see that you've got the correct date and time here that they were sent over. Okay, any questions? Anybody would like to stop? Don't have a lot of time.
There's a question there actually, Jennifer. I don't know if you can see it, or if you want me to read it to you.
I can see it. How about sending a second? Oh, that's such a great question, because that's exactly what we're going to do next. That's an excellent question. So we're going to do that in our mortgage tab, okay? That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's quickly get back into our purchase file before we head over to our mortgage file. We're going to our trust tab. We've got our in and out trust reconciliation in front of us. We're ready to receipt in our funds, okay? And you will likely be doing this as you work along your file. So when you receive your excess deposit from the realtor, you can certainly receive it in. The date and time it goes into your bank is quite important, okay? So maybe you're receiving this in like 2 weeks ago, that's fine. The date that it goes into the bank is the date of time deposited. Make sure that this is the date that the excess deposit actually goes into your trust account, okay? So for instance, we're just going to do this all today. So I received my excess deposit of $18,280. Okay, we're going to keep it reconciled because it's gone to the bank today. And keep in mind, you can put whatever description you want in your receipts. It's not going to populate anywhere other than your reports. And it's a great thing to do to put a description in. So at least put excess deposit from, from your realtor, okay? If you want to go as far as putting the check number in, receipt number in, absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. Then you're going to locate, you know, who the realtor was, the office, you're going to find them. Where did it come from? It's very good practice to make sure you put in where did this money come from and where are you sending the money out of. It will really help you when you are finding that you have an error and you need to find a check or you have a mistake, you're not reconciling. The more you put in, the easier it will to be able to locate your mistakes. Okay, so here again, if I want to just drop, maybe I'm just looking for a particular Remax office, I just want to look at the ones in Coquitlam, great. So I'll just double click to bring this one in. Okay.
Jennifer, sorry to interrupt. We just got another question in about an email address. Can you see that question there? Or did you want me to read it out?
Oh, I can see it. Is there any way you can insert an email address into the reporting letter to the realtors, as many realtors do not have fax machines? Can the realty office address and fax numbers be updated at the same time? Well, it all depends on the contact you're choosing, right? So absolutely, if you would like an email address entered into your reporting letter, that would be a prime example of getting a master document, a local precedent. So if you would like a master document that we code in where it will pick up the email address, absolutely, we can do that. Keep in mind, make sure the contact you're choosing, so you would maybe then create your own firm contact and make sure you have an email in this data field here to be able to pick it up to generate it, okay? So yes, create your own local contact, enter the email, ask us for a master document to code in the email, and absolutely yes, we will make that for you, okay? Okay, so here's my excess deposit. Okay, then I want to add in my closing funds, so I'm going to add in a new draft that I received, okay, from the clients. So they brought in 129,604.76. So these are closing funds from client. Okay, client. Okay, again, you can put in what you'd like. Maybe you have a specific person depositing these funds. These fields are here for you to use. Okay, so the next one is our advance of mortgage proceeds. So this would be an EFT generally. Okay, unfortunately, I mean, it would be nice to have that. I always just choose a wire transfer. Okay, so my mortgage funds that are coming in, 349,200. I believe. So these are my advance. Okay, and then which bank were they coming from? So I would want to ensure that I had that in. And you'll be doing this, oh, again, let's take this out. You will be doing this as you work along in your file. Okay, something's going on with my contact, and I'm not going to waste the time to look at it because we all know sometimes the contacts, less is more, more is less sometimes. Okay, so let's just get this in here. Okay, so we've got our excess deposit, our closing funds, and our advance of mortgage proceeds. And then we want to make sure we're going to check our trust in and out. This is here for a reason. We want to make sure this is matching up with our in-out trust reconciliation. Is this all the funds in? Yes, great. Now we want to go through our file and we're ready to requisition our checks, okay? You can make manual checks, okay? That is fine. And I would suggest that you do that if you have particular holdbacks. Maybe you've got a holdback for the strata for a special levy and you're not sure. Maybe you'll be providing some to the strata plan, maybe you'll be providing some back to the client or to the other side. Absolutely, those things are great to wait. If you want to requisition checks in here and you don't know exactly if the check is going to be for this amount, I mean, this one, yes, of course. But say you had some sort of a big holdback and you're not sure if it was going to be split up, just leave it, because as soon as you requisition a check and your amounts change, it's going to immediately void the check over in trust. Okay, so there's certain things that yes, you should make a manual check for. Otherwise, please, use the check requisition tabs, because it ensures that it's done properly and there's no mistakes. Okay, so it's very easy. There's that PTT. Okay, save. Then we're going to head over. Let's see, we're going to provide the listing agent. Again, make sure you've got the correct contact here, because it's going to populate that contact and it's going to produce that contact's address on that letter. So again, I want to produce a check for my excess deposits. There I go. Okay, so very simple. Maybe for my account here, I've got my account here. I'm going to requisition a check again for my account, and okay. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm not going to do all of them, but this is a great sort of start as to how you should be requisitioning your checks. Okay, another great one too is in the sellers. Like, come here to get your check. Once you know this is exactly what you're going to be providing them, come and get your check here, because it's just so accurate rather than creating a manual check. Okay, so here I've gotten my checks. Now I'm going to go back to trust. And here's all my checks here. Okay. Not all of them, but some of them. Then I'm going to generate those checks. And after I generate them, please post them. Okay. Posting them will ensure that they don't generate again when you do have to generate that holdback check. Okay. And then as you cash those checks, have your bank statement. So you're ensuring that you're clearing your checks when they're cleared your trust account. And that's how you're going to have success with your reconciliations every month. You can clear them in here, you can post them in here, or certainly you can go to the trust center, okay? Go to posting, find that bank. Well, there's so many banks in here, you're just gonna have to give me a second.
Jennifer, do you have time for a couple of questions?
Sure.
So one just came in the Q&A, and then I had one pop in the chat box. So is there any way that the email addresses for realtors can be programmed in such a way that is pulled into the reporting, much like it does with the lawyer letters?
Yes, yep, I think, yes, absolutely. So essentially, we can create that master document for somebody if they would like the real estate agent's email to be to come into their letters. Yes, absolutely. It's a master document request. Okay, so they can send it to me, they can send it to Doc Services if they would like a master made where they can bring in that email. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then for POAs, it is common to have two attorneys?
Yes. This is I know, Nazara, this has come up many times and we've gone through this. Unfortunately, maybe we could take this question again, maybe offline so that we can maybe create some sort of a master that will work for you. But this question has come up numerous times, so perhaps maybe we can discuss this thing about the two attorneys coming in, and I'll contact you specifically. Okay, Nazara?
Thanks, Jennifer.
No problem. Okay, let's jump into that mortgage file because we don't have a lot of time left. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's Tiff. I just wanted to jump in if I can just really quickly. I think I know what a lot of the notaries today are asking. They're asking if ProSuite will just do it for them, where any letter they generate will just have the realtor's email in there. I just wanted to clarify, we can definitely take that to our development team to do kind of like an overhaul of all of the documents in ProSuite. I don't think we expect you as notaries to email us every single master document that you want for each of the realtors. So just because the documents, the way that they were built back by the Notary Society when ProSuite was started, the tag or the code for the realtor's email isn't in any of the documents. So it's something that we've had a lot of people asking, and Jennifer and I will take that to the development team and see if we can work on it. But in the meantime, if there's realtors that you use consistently and you'd like us to customize those documents, then just give those to us and we can do that for you, sort of on a one-off. Sorry for interrupting, Jen.
Oh, no, that's perfect. And it's completely true. Things have changed. Practices have changed. Everybody appreciates that email now. It would be great if what Tiffany had mentioned, if they could reconstruct some of those letters. For now, if you need a master, they can come to me or to Document Services. Certainly you can send it to Tiffany as well. She'll direct you how to upload it. But yes, that's the sort of workaround right now. If you do have that real estate letter that you would like mastered, we can certainly master it for you. Okay, let's jump into this mortgage file. I know we have very little time left, and there was that great question. And this is specifically why I wanted to go into this mortgage file. So let's say we've done our purchase file and now our buyers we're down the line a little bit, and they're going to refinance. Okay, so they are getting a new mortgage, and they also are going to be discharging that TD Bank, that mortgage that we put on for them a few months ago. So we can see the last one closed in April. Now we're going to do a refinance for these guys. And so when it comes time to refinancing, we're also going to be in charge of discharging this TD bank off. Okay, so excellent question. When we get to web forms, we will be creating 2 packages in here. So for the package description for a mortgage, when you're responsible for refinancing, so you're going to be registering a new mortgage on title, a new first on title, and you're also going to be discharging the old first, the TD. Please make 2 packages. So the first thing you'll do is the first package you're going to make, I would name it Form B, because it just makes sense, because you've already got your file reference here. So just call this one Form B, and then you're going to register that you're going to send your Form B over, right? Okay, so that's great, and you're going to register that. And then when you're in charge of just when you're ready to discharge, you're just going to simply create the second package here. Okay, so you're going to click the green plus sign, and you're going to call this the Form C release. Okay, and then you're going to send the release over separately. Okay, so that both do not go to the dashboard at the same time. Otherwise, yes, you're going to run into those problems. So it's just as simple as creating 2 packages in your mortgage file. Okay, so here I've got my Form B that I've sent over, and then my Form C will be in a completely different package. If you want to see it, how it displays, I'll go to my packages. Let's go to view all packages, and here, Form C, Form B. Same file reference, 2 separate packages, okay? And yeah, I mean, that's basically almost at the end of we've actually covered quite a bit here. If there's anything that anybody else would like to go over, we do have just under or just over 5 minutes. So certainly we could do that at this point, unless you want me to go through the entire mortgage file. I certainly can do that as well. It's the same idea with this trust. We're receiving in mortgage proceeds, we're requisitioning our checks, and we're ensuring that our trust in and out is correct, okay? Very handy things that you can run always with your ProTrust, which I always recommend, is generate a check register. Always, just do it with every single file. Once you've requisitioned, go ahead with your trust checks, get that check register and generate it as well. It's great to have in your file, and it will help you if you need to refer back to your file matter as to what went on. Oh, sometimes Zoom does this where it's just going to do this again. I'm sorry. This is, oh, perfect. Okay, so here, very nice concrete check register. What's coming in, what's going out, what's the closing balance, okay? Okay, maybe we have time for a few questions. I can see one in the chat. Is there any way the email, oh yeah, it's the email. Yes, absolutely. If there is an email address for the realtor that you would like a master, we can easily code that for you to bring in that email.
Oh, that's super, Jennifer. I don't see any. Oh, one other question just came in, and we'll make this the last one so that folks can move on. It looks like it's some advice to other notaries, but maybe you can confirm that, Jennifer.
Jamie, or can you make one package include Form B and C at the time of releasing the Form C release? You can simply download the Form C separately and upload to LTO. You know what? It's a great question, Jamie. It's really your preference. And if you have any questions with respect to how these forms are reaching the dashboard or time-sensitive ways and separately, I would honestly talk to the land title office about that. Because I mean, I can only show you what we do in ProSuite. I would honestly make 2 separate packages. If you find a different way and you have questions about that, then I would just ask the land title office about those things, because we're essentially in their environment once we send the data over. So whatever happens over on the other side after everything goes over is entirely up to the land title office to probably fill you in a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Jennifer. So we're going to wrap it there. There's a question, Kitty. I know, Tiffany, we'll leave it with you to follow up with Tiffany. And aside
yeah, that's
from
great,
that,
Kitty. Yep, there is a trust check. There is a cost. We can send you the option for checks. It's no problem at all.
super. I'll turn it over to you, Trista, to wrap things up.
Great, thanks so much, Jennifer. I know that was a lot of information to get into just under an hour, so we appreciate you doing that, and for being here, Tiffany. Thank you, and of course for Dye & Durham sponsorship. Thank you as well for that. Thanks to Notaries for sticking around. I know this was important content, and everyone stayed on, so we kept you for almost an hour today. Thank you. The next opportunity we actually have April 20th is a CE credit. So it's the Alzheimer's Society talking about dementia-friendly practice. So that'll be from 12 to 1:30. You can find the information in the members area. This is a free course to BCNA members. You just need to register. The Zoom link will be automatically sent to you, and I will send a reminder 24 hours out as well. So with that, please do check your spam and junk folder, because sometimes Zoom doesn't always make its way into our preferred inbox. Anything else?
Yeah, no, just, I think you said this at the start, Trista, but you recorded this. So to members, this will be in the members area. I know there's tons of information there from Jennifer, so feel free to digest it at your leisure.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
It takes a little bit to download, so it won't be available right away, but check back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having us, Trista and Chad. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jennifer. Thanks, Tiffany.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.